perfectly with the dodge.
What a beautiful charge dash from Meldon to save him. That faster.
Is that faster?
Oh my god.
Oh my god, this guy.
Milton got it.
Oh, this is what a save!
Oh my god!
Hey everybody, this is time for more Ori and the Blind Forest races. This is Sunrise Before Flux on commentary, and I am joined by Snoopy as well.
Hello.
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling very excited for this upcoming race here. So we
it's
got
definitely going to be a pretty exciting race. We have a race here between Eviona and Cubby, who, as you can see, their times are like within 3 minutes of each other. For just in the races alone, they've both been doing really well during this tournament. So it's going to be an exciting at least.
yeah, and even though Eviona has a pretty huge PB lead here, I want to point out that Cubby's race time actually is very close to his PB time, so I'm very excited to see how that's gonna play in this race.
Oh yeah, definitely. Now, and as you see here, we got a PB time overall of 29:45 to 34:22, but other than that, between the two runners, Eviona will be using keyboard and mouse. Cubby will be using a hybrid of both keyboard and mouse and a controller. Now.
Yeah, and something quite interesting from Eviona, we will see well, for most of the run, they will be running with 3 HP, and so we'll see if like nerves or something could be a factor for that. So that it will be very interesting to see if there will be any mistakes or something like that that could give Cubby a chance to take the victory here.
Yes, running with 3 HP to the pretty much the end of the run is possible, but it's also a very risky way to go because there are a lot of things, especially in like the mid to late parts of the run, that can do a lot of damage really quickly. But with a time like that, Eviona must have some pretty good confidence about their ability to perform even with that. And also, on the other than just their run, Eviona's mouse pad is a plank of wood, which is kind of amusing to see that as extra information.
Yeah, that is for sure interesting.
And apparently Cubby has Wolverine level of healing power, which is also
maybe that will help if some mistakes happen, and like that we see the beautiful transition, and the race is just about to start any second now.
Yes, just about to get started here. And
any second now. There we go.
And there we go. Yes, there we go. Both skipping the prologue pretty quickly. A little bit of menuing issues, but menuing in this game is not easy to say the least.
Yeah, for sure.
Now they're both getting started, going off to the left. Not a whole lot to say about this early part of the run that hasn't already been said, admittedly, but...
Yeah, just heading down to our first skill sign. Nothing very special happening.
Yeah.
Well, that is if no one dies on their way.
Yeah, I would hope they would die on the way to sign.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, just very slight differences in movement, very slight differences in time. both getting to sign pretty much the exact same moment. So, again, this first part of the run is pretty basic, pretty consistent. Now we're gonna get here into the first Frankie fight, which,
yeah, I believe we do see.
admittedly, admittedly, I do wish you could hear the music from that fight a little bit more, but because it doesn't play anywhere else in the game, to my knowledge.
Yeah, that's true. You only hear it for a very short time until all of the Frankies are dead.
Yeah, and it's just one example though of the soundtrack in this game is fantastic and one of my favorite things about it. So
definitely. So Eviona actually taking a bit of damage there. I'm not sure if that was intentional and their strat to get low HP here, or if they have to look out a little bit here.
I would believe that it was at least somewhat intentional, or if not, it could just have been just it. Even if it's not necessarily 100% intentional, it's one of those things where you could just work with it if it's even with it.
Okay,
both of them getting their ghost store very nicely. Eviona had to take 2 damage because they got an extra health drop.
Yeah, and here we do see a routing difference. The one we pointed out, Eviona not going for that 4th health cell. We'll see how that will work out, especially in the mid game.
Oh yeah, especially yeah. Like I said, it saves a little bit of time overall because the 2 health cells that they will be getting are technically faster, but the extra health cells that you can get earlier on are still not a huge. Oh, and going and
Flower skip there.
Flower skip there. Save even a little bit more time, getting a little bit further ahead before the wall jump tree, which is our first true skill of the run.
I know what you mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Sign is not a real skill.
Yeah. But
so not a huge difference, kind of expected because of the HP change difference. We
HP
see Eviona.
change.
Yeah, not change, sorry.
Yeah, but no, and there will be a few more small differences in their routes, which we will discuss as they are done. Getting that level up there that they skipped going by that flower, and getting up past the log just fine.
But struggling a little bit on the walls. Climbing walls in this game is like really impossible.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's a fairly simple input, but sometimes the timing can be just a little bit tricky. Oh, and Cubby having a bit of trouble on these slimes here, but gets through fine. Opts to take a quick health recovery there, which is smart play because it's taking a bit of damage there that was more than would have been rather uncomfortable getting out of here with just 1 HP to the bit.
Yeah, for sure.
Back. And Eviona is coming up here on Blackroot Burrows, which is going to be quite an interesting way. Just skipping the cutscene to get in. No problems there. Cubby also doing the cutscene skip very quickly here.
So this area is very cycle based, so depending on the runner's movement, we could see some time save or time loss in this area.
Oh yeah, and there's also a lot of things that can kill you very quickly because this is an area that you can do at any time, so
yeah, doing it this early is not very nice.
Yeah, especially, although, to be fair, the insta-kill lasers that are coming up very shortly on Eviona's screen are pretty brutal to hit, no matter... Ooh!
Oh, just as you said that.
Yes. those can be pretty brutal no matter how prepared you are for this area. So
because of that death, Cubby will have a chance to catch up slightly here, although the lead is not too huge so far.
yeah, it's still pretty close either way. Ooh, cycle there is not optimal, but could have been worse. Yeah, as you said, there are a lot of cycles in this area with these moving platforms, and it can lose a lot of time if you get to the one just a little tiny bit late. So
in this room, I want to point something out, because just today there was a new strat found, and I believe we will see both runners going for it. Compared to the usual darkness cutscene skip, the runners will save a little bit more early, and that allows them to do some blind movement after the dash tree, which will be very interesting to see.
yes, that is definitely a route change. Ooh, Eviona also going for magnetless Funky Walk. Yes, you can move during this cutscene rather than skipping it entirely like the route used to. And by standing in a specific spot, you can overlap some cutscene triggers so that you can move during cutscenes and do blind movement, getting out of Blackroot Burrows while you grab the dash pickup, which is, as Snoopy said, that was just found today.
That looks very cool, I have to say.
Yeah, that's definitely a really cool little trick, little optimization there. Does save a very slight amount of time compared to the older strat. So it's definitely tricky to do, especially with that blind movement, but it does save a little bit of time in the end, and it's really cool that both runners could show that off so well.
Yeah, for sure.
And of course, like I said, Funky Walk coming up here, and very nicely done, especially magnetless.
Yeah. See how they will do in their Death Glide or Death Gauntlet.
Yes. Eviona opting to take a safer route than the Death Glide, which is probably not a bad idea.
Yeah, it's
Ooh,
very dangerous. Oh, Cubby
got an extra energy cell to make a safety save after Funky Walk.
And the value safety saves from Eviona just directly after picking up the energy cell was also a very smart choice, because they died twice there. That would have been very unfortunate to go back to dash there.
Oh yes, that would have. That would be a very, very long, unfortunate route having to redo Funky Walk. But and nice ghost door and a little bit of a quick death, but again, the ghost door gets a save, so that doesn't cost a lot of time at all.
So both got the early grotto cycle, which is very nice to see, but that means that there's no real lead changes thanks to that.
Yeah, and coming up here on some more blind movement, which works slightly differently than the new strat found in Blackroot Burrows, but it is still very impressive to see, because especially just the way that you just, well, it's blind movement. You have to memorize all of your inputs to get out. So, and coming up here, grotto skip, which is, and first try. First time, every time.
Very nicely. Cubby coming up on it just as well, right on the tails.
And also gets it first try. Again, pretty much no change in this lead here going into this.
Yeah, we see some very similar movement here, which really gives no one here a chance to either break away or catch up.
Yeah, it's This is definitely a very exciting race so far.
Yeah, like the 11-second delta is not much, and the lead can change pretty much any second, so it's anyone's race.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because there's especially going to be some more very tricky moments coming up in this route. So it will be very exciting to see how things progress from here. Now the Eviona and Cubby are both heading up out of Moon Grotto and off to the first and really, for our sakes, only dungeon of the game, the Ginso tree.
Yeah, we'll see how they do on their way, and especially also in the tree, which I know can be very, well, first of all, tricky to get through optimally, but also frustrating once you fail once.
Yeah, there are unfortunate death for Cubby there, but very nicely placed safety save there because of just how easy it is to die in that little passageway. So being able to take that safety save and lose almost no time to that death is very well placed.
And I believe we see a small change in routes here as well, because Cubby did not go for that ability cell that you can get on the way to Jinso tree.
Ah, yes. That is also an interesting change. But as we see here, Eviona making their way up the tree. Ooh, doing some telehops there. That's not
very nice.
That is a very tricky strat for the amount of time save you get from it. So that is very impressive. Very impressively done there.
Yeah, for sure, and in general the movement in Ginso tree is very nice to watch.
Yeah, as you can see, Cubby is not going for the same strategy hopping between, just going up. Still manages it very efficiently.
That room can be very tricky, yeah, for sure.
And Eviona coming up here on the first mini boss of the Ginso tree, which is one of the only places in the entire run where RNG really comes into play, with how you can where they in, but kills it very quickly and efficiently. Takes a save there, which not only is a safety save, but also gets their health up to exactly 3 for the upcoming Ghost door here. Takes a bit of damage there, and that leaves 1 health right for the Ghost door, and get it up onto the spikes, and we are now to the Bash tree, right as Cubby is also tackling the mini-boss.
Yeah, so Cubby, as a hybrid player actually, still playing on controller I believe right now, so is rather pacing, or well, spamming the shots with controller rather than using like a mouse wheel, for example.
Yeah, having the mouse wheel for scrolling for shooting definitely makes that mini boss a bit quicker and easier to get through efficiently, but both runners managing it very nicely. And we are coming up here on a key dupe for Eviona, which get the keys in the door. Nicely done.
That was very clean.
Yes, very clean, and now and Cubby just getting bash as well, so this is still a very close race as we get up to the second of the boss fights in Ginso Tree, which also goes very quickly. Dropped the experience a little bit lower than they could pick up, but that shouldn't change a ton of the route. There's There's
Cubby
the experience
having a-
route is pretty lenient at this point of the run.
Yeah, for sure. Cubby having a few problems with his shots there, losing him some more seconds at this point. But actually, I think going for the shot to the right is actually faster.
Yeah, taking a bit of a trying a bit of a damage boost, but taking a bit too much damage, and so, but fortunately recovers from it fairly nicely.
Yeah, luckily we have the save there from the key dupe anyway, so it's not a costly death.
Yeah, and Eviona, meanwhile, is coming up on the next major trick of the run with the early swamp entry, and using keyboard double bash method, gets it very cleanly, very nice.
That setup looked really cool, I have to admit.
Yeah, the double bash method is pretty much keyboard mouse only, so we'll probably see Cubby take a bit more of a controller friendly approach to that trick, but it still was done very cleanly. So, and we are already up to the stomp tree. So
while Eviona, sorry, is making their way out of this area, Cubby is gonna try to get in it first.
yes, that is, and I didn't mention it before, but there is also a little bit more blind movement here during this cutscene where Gumo moves down with the water vein that we already gave back into the tree, and fun stuff seeing cutscenes backwards, but that blind movement also has the benefit of making sure the lasers that Eviona just would have passed faded. Huh.
And Eviona gets a very nice, clean Kuro cutscene skip here, so that was very well done by them.
Yes, definitely. Cubby took a bit of a death. I'm guessing the frog was just too damaged to continue, but and then dunk the frog, so having to try again. But
yeah, so the safety save isn't the best. You can actually place one right before the frog, but since Cubby did save to skip the cutscene, luckily he can just retry easily.
That might be what was going on.
I was also confused.
The way that Cubby bashed the frog onward took a bit of damage, so taking any damage might not have left with enough to get it. There is a way to do that without taking any damage, but not every runner knows the very specific positioning to get that, but ooh, it looks like we got a bit of a hyperspeed save going into the stomp area.
And meanwhile, Eviona is coming up on a trick we would like to call fast stompless,
Yes.
which is a very cool trick in my opinion.
And yes. So Eviona moving through so quickly that we couldn't even quite see that they got charge flame and did another pretty big cutscene skip, and now all it. So yes, coming up on Fast Stomplet, which we'll see how that goes for them. Goes for it. And
This is the shot, it looks like.
Movement and yeah, misses the shot, so they're gonna have to go back up, but it is still possibly somewhat preferable to getting a shot missing the ability cell.
But it looks like
And
Eviona went for it
looks
again.
like
and
they missed the
missed.
shot
Yeah.
again. Ooh, that is going to give.
Oh, Not lucky
It is
today.
going to give Cubby a little bit of another chance to catch up just a bit.
Oh, and now taking a very costful
Yeah.
death.
3 missed shots, and
That gives Cubby a very big chance to come
Ooh.
back here.
that is definitely going to give Cubby a chance to catch up.
Yeah. And but we
Yeah.
saw Cubby pick up a safety
But-
health cell, I believe. So we'll see some very nice 5 HP safety from him.
Yes, Cubby picked up. So Cubby is now at 5. Eviona is still at 3 health, and especially this is where definitely be very handy. There's a lot of things, especially in the next couple parts of this run, can kill you very quickly. Even with only 5 HP. On the go at the fast numbers, and they get the stuff and
Gets it very nicely this time. And Cubby is doing some movement behind the menu at this point. After picking up the charged flame tree, while we see Eviona heading up to their Sorrow Bash. Seeing some nice rocket jumps here. Does not choose to do a safety save, which is kind of risky, but gets the trick very nicely first try. But moving through this area is still very dangerous. Moving through the, I don't know, chip palace or something. I won't even try to look for a pun. And coming up on the charge jump tree. While Cubby is coming up to their attempts of fast stompless. I'm not entirely sure if they're gonna go for it, but we'll see about that in a second.
And I should be back. I'm thinking my internet just cut out for a moment there. Sorry about that.
Yeah, don't
But-
worry.
And it looks like Cubby is opting to not go for a fast stompless, which it's probably a good decision. It's a trick that if you aren't confident with it, getting it the first try, it doesn't save as much time as it's worth.
And especially seeing what happened to Eviona, you can get
We'll-
really unlucky with it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So we see Eviona skipping another cutscene here. This is a pretty long one. I think one of the longest ones in the game, but not the longest one in the game, but it's just very nice to be able to skip that.
Yeah, it's definitely having long cutscenes that you can skip is definitely being able to skip those long cutscenes is definitely a pretty nice thing to have. And meanwhile, Cubby is coming up on Sorrow Bash, which I believe Eviona got first try. I couldn't quite tell. But either way, it was done. And Eviona is into Misty.
We'll probably see some very nice movement in Misty, seeing a lot of charge dashes already. Cubby going for his attempt at Sorrow Bash and gets it very nicely.
Yes, that is a very, very efficiently done Sorrow Bash, and misses the keystone, but just not a big deal. Yeah, Misty Woods, as is to be expected, Misty Woods is definitely a part of the run that runners will use basically every movement technique that they have available to them, and Cubby going for another save anywhere with some blind movement to set up for Terra Break. Now that
Yeah, I must say I'm liking the strats that I'm seeing from Cubby today. Like the PB difference is, I mean, pretty huge, and you're definitely seeing it at this point. Like Eviona, even with some fails, is still in the lead, but Cubby has put on a great performance here and has went for like a lot of tricks that I honestly would not expect someone like to go for.
oh yeah, definitely. And yep, and now Eviona has just been rocketing through Misty Woods, coming up here on the Misty Woods mini boss and takes it out relatively cleanly. There wasn't the quickest kill ever, but again, didn't lose a whole lot of time to it, so.
Yeah, and luckily it also didn't
Very-
die, which also can happen pretty easily, and that would have been very unfortunate. So it's nice to see
Yeah,
that even with a slower strat, they got through it nicely.
yeah. Even in casual playthroughs, Ori is always rather frail, so you can die very easily, especially when you only have 3 HP.
Yeah, for sure. A 3 HP is not a fun time. Cubby taking some damage in the spikes there, but because of the 5 HP he picked up earlier, was able to survive that, so is now on low HP, but at least didn't lose any time to like a death.
Yep. Going a little back and forth there on looks like some interesting charge dash aiming. But recovers and moves off into Misty Woods.
And meanwhile we see Eviona skipping another very tediously long cutscene.
I believe that is probably that is also one of the longest cutscenes in the game, so skipping that one is very nice indeed.
Oh, for sure it's the longest in the run.
Yeah, so. And now that they've got grenade, they can do some tricks which are known as grenade jumps, which, as you can see, very fast, very stylish.
Lovely. Very nicely done. Oh, taking a death there though.
But
That means
still-
we'll likely see it again.
Yes, more grenade jumps are always nice, and they still have a pretty comfortable lead to boot, so.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, hitting the spikes there with the rocket jump, having to climb up.
Yeah,
And choosing to not go for a fast cycle, waiting on that laser, which might be a smart idea.
yeah, especially missing it the first time, so. Missing it the first time and taking some damage. And another little rocket jump setup.
That one, I haven't seen that one many times. That's very interesting.
And Eviona picking up their first health cell, which now that the run is coming to its end, they will need to have that and one more health cell. But these last two opportunities to get it are, I believe, optimally the fastest. So, but and you can see the other right here, right into Corville. Again, this is another part of the run where having low HP is definitely pretty tense, because even when you have the 5 HP that you need as the minimum to complete the run, autoing can kill you pretty much instantly. And as Cubby beats the Misty mini boss, Eviona comes up on a brain perfect trick, which they get first try.
Very nicely.
And now Eviona is into the final escape. Very, very nicely done.
Yeah, the movement in horror fields looked very clean to me. Lots of grenade jumps. It was very nice to watch. And now the escape is underway.
And now, yes, and as usual, they will not be able to take any damage.
Saying that, Eviona takes a death.
Yes, but will not be able to take any damage because that 5 health is pretty much the bare minimum for being able to get through the poisoned water in the swimming section without dying, because we did not clean up the water. So let's see.
Oh,
taking a death to the water, like I said.
Barely not making it.
Yeah, you lose 1 HP per second there. So if you take any more than 4 seconds to be able to get out of that water.
While we see Eviona moving through the final escape, I want to point your attention to the right side, because Cubby missed his save, I think, and leveled up early, so he has to watch the Race's dad cutscene, which is very unfortunate.
Yes. And meanwhile,
Eviona, that would have been a soft lock.
Yeah, Eviona goes for the final grenade jump, but gets the position slightly wrong and would have soft lock. Would have soft locked the run, so they have to restart and redo the entire final escape.
Yeah, Eviona kind of getting infinite by the final escape here, which can happen very easily, especially on 5 HP.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Cubby still in that racist dad cutscene, as we said, so that's why we like to skip that cutscene.
Yeah, I was gonna say the death from
Eviona.
The death from Eviona might have been a chance for Cubby to catch up, but watching that cutscene probably lost him too much time at this point, especially that. Oh, Eviona. Okay, still going for the grenade jumps, and this time makes it. So Eviona is through.
And this time gets it. Yep. All they will have to do is hold right. So Eviona. Meanwhile, Cubby is not all that far behind, having picked up grenade and going through to come in towards their Mount Horu as well.
Picked up another health cell, so it's now at 6 HP, which is very safe and very nice to have for the final escape. You really don't want to die to that water.
Yeah, 5 health is the bare minimum and technically the optimal, and dodging that ability cell that was skipped earlier in the run.
And I want to point something out. Eviona looked like Eviona got the grenade jump, but actually didn't skip the final cutscene.
Having that. Huh.
That's something very interesting.
That is odd. Grenade jump is a very finicky trick in pretty much every way, so it's not totally surprising. But and is done. I 34E.
34:42 looks like was the final time. Meanwhile, we see Cubby attempting door warp, a very tricky trick. I know it for myself. It's very hard to do.
Yeah, it's one input on one very specific frame of the loading, so it's just
there. So
it's just you either get it or you don't. So
yeah, and luckily doesn't take too long on it, and is now also in the final escape.
Yes, that is going to be now And yes, having that extra health cell is going to make it... Whew, takes a bit of an early death, fortunately losing basically no time to that. Some very close dodges on these flaming boulders. Whew, that was quite...
Misses the charge flame, so has to redo it, and costs a little bit of energy. So if Cubby doesn't get the grenade jump that quickly, he might run into energy problems. We hope it won't be a problem though.
Yeah, hopefully. And gets through the swimming section just fine. Having that extra HP cell can definitely take a little bit of worry off. And in fact, makes it so that you don't have to worry about the fish AI, because you actually have to manipulate the fish to be able to get through and with the bare minimum.
Yeah, you can't move too fast or too slow in that area. And Cubby gets the grenade jump, so it's also through.
Yes, and it looks like this time the cutscene was skipped as intended, so...
Yeah, that was very interesting. Gets a third try, so not too much of a time waste there.
And once again, all that has to be done is holding right. But we'll see how that goes. Yeah, holding right. Doesn't look like any optimizations, but
this was a very clean race.
Yeah,
we
very
saw
clean race from
some
race from both runners.
Yeah, we saw some small hiccups from both of them, like Eviona with fast stompless and Cubby with the cutscene. But otherwise, that was a very nice race to watch.
Oh yeah, definitely, and I'm still hyped over that new darkness cutscene strat from Blackroot Burrows, and that was way at the beginning of the run.
Yeah, but it's super cool. Like, it was very nice to watch.
Yes, that was definitely very nice. Very exciting race to watch. Glad that I could...
As kind of the favorite going into this match, Eviona did take the victory, but that was still a very good performance by Cubby.
Mm-hmm. Yes, very solid performance from both runners, as we expected. Very nicely done.
So I believe that was it for the follow-on group. That was actually the last match. We see on the stat sheet here, Eviona going out of it with a 3-0 victory, and everyone else having a 1-2. So we'll see how they will eventually end up seeded. We see the best race time there. It's actually pretty close between all three of them, I have to say.
Yes, that was definitely a very close group the whole way around. Is like best race time being all of them have best race times just within that 32 to 32, 32:02, 38:55. That's a pretty tight window, especially for how much can go wrong during any given race.
Yeah, for sure. And like having like only a 6-minute difference between the first seed and the last seed, it's very nice.
Yes, very competitive group. Very impressive race. Very impressive races to all 4 of the runners. Very well done.
We're just checking if we will get an interview here. It looks like not. So
like
coming
no
up
interview.
just after this, we have another race between El Jiminy and Zyra. So stay tuned for that.
Stay tuned for that, and I will be joining you on commentary once again, and we'll meet you shortly. Thank you for watching.